This Film Friday, we're taking a look at the Spartus 120 box camera. Hey everyone, Sean here, and welcome back to Film Friday. This week we're taking a look at this guy, the Spartus 120 box camera. This is a Bakelite box camera. It's made of fairly cheap plastic. It was first manufactured in 1942, and it shoots 120 medium format film. And that's actually pretty important because most box cameras you're going to find today at thrift stores, antique stores, etc., are not going to shoot 120 film. They're going to shoot film formats that either don't exist today or are very hard to find. But this camera shoots 120 film, which is easy to buy online. It's at camera stores. It's very accessible. And that's the main reason I picked this camera up, because I really love the idea of box cameras, but I don't like trying to bring back from the dead expired film formats. I bought this camera at an antique store a couple years ago. I paid about 20 or 30 bucks for it, and it was definitely worth it because, like I said, it shoots 120 film and it's super easy to use. It's got a 105mm lens, the aperture is fixed at f/18, and it has a 1/30th of a second shutter speed, which means you have to hold it pretty still when you're taking a shot. And with a roll of medium format 120 film, you get 8 images. And these are huge images. They're 2.25 by 3.25 inches. The controls on this camera are really basic. Basically, you've got the shutter lever right here to take a photo. And then you have this other lever here that says instant or time. Instant is just taking a regular shot, but if you set it to time, you can actually hold down the shutter, keep it open, and shoot a long exposure. Now you probably noticed f/18, 1/30th of a second. Yeah, this camera is basically designed for slow speed film shooting in bright conditions. So you're gonna wanna use an ISO 100 film, shoot outside when it's sunny, and if you have to shoot inside, I would recommend getting a light meter, metering it, and doing a timed exposure with the camera on a flat surface. Now you may notice this camera does not have any sort of traditional viewfinder, and that is because it has a waist level viewfinder. There's a little glass optic right here, and also on the side here, and then you've got 2 little lenses here and here. They're little mini lenses that mimic the field of view of the main lens, and then you just look down, and there's little mirrors in these viewfinders, and you just compose at waist level. If you're doing a portrait, you do this way. Doing a landscape, you do it this way. And the fun thing about the waist level viewfinders on this type of box camera is as you're taking pictures, people don't always know you are taking a photo. It's a great way to shoot stealthy film photography because you're just kind of looking down at your camera, taking a picture. No one even knows you took one. Loading 120 roll film in this camera is super simple. Take the back off like this, pop that open. We have to take this film advance knob, pull it out, and we can pull out the entire film holder mechanism. Now, because the film advance lever is on the bottom of the camera, that means the film is going to be loaded up at the top and then spooled down to this bottom spool that's going to advance the film through the camera. And it's super easy to load. You just snap your 120 roll in here, pull the paper-backed film over, and then thread it into the take-up. Then you're just going to slide the holder back into your camera, push the film advance knob back in, and then just reattach the back like that. Now that your film is loaded, just turn the film advance wheel until you get to your first shot. Let's take a look at some of the photos I've captured with this Spartus 120 camera. I captured this image in the woods on a late winter day. Now you can see some major softening on the top and bottom of the lens, plus we got some interesting flare. I don't know if this is just the natural quality of this camera's lens or if it's just aged this way. Maybe there's some fungus growing in the lens, but I do love that lo-fi look. Here's a photo of a drain control wheel by a lake, and I really love the look of this shot. It's got that sharp center with the soft edges, that interesting vignette at the bottom. It almost feels like it was captured with a large format camera. I captured this photo in a coffee shop. It was fairly dark. There was some nice light coming through the window, and because this camera is designed to use outside, I placed it on the table and I used the time option, and I held it open for a couple seconds to let enough light in to get a usable shot. Here's a photo I captured at a farmer's market, and if you look closely, there is some motion blur to the image. I believe as I took this picture, I did move the camera a little bit, and because this is a 1/30th of a second camera, you will get some motion blur with handheld shots. And here's an example of a little more motion blur. Just grab the shot of some people sitting by a lake, and you can see some blur. The camera moved a little bit, and it might not just be the 1/30th shutter speed. The shutter might be even a little slower because of how old the camera is. That could explain it. One of the cool things about this camera is you can take as many pictures as you want on one piece of film. So here's an example of kind of an abstract double exposure shot. And And here's a picture of some oak tree branches. Again, we're getting some softness on the top and bottom of the frame. It's giving you that really lo-fi, old-fashioned feel. And this look isn't for everyone, but hey, if you're going to use a box camera from the 40s, you kind of have to be ready to have a little bit of weird character in your image. Okay, that'll do it for today's episode of Film Friday. Have fun shooting with 120 box cameras.